FISIP Universitas Warmadewa gandeng University of Zagreb gelar seminar internasional bertema, Digital Media, AI, and Propaganda. Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik FISIP Universitas Warmadewa bekerja sama dengan University of Zagreb, Kroasia, menyelenggarakan seminar internasional bertajuk, Digital Media, AI, and Propaganda, Perspectives from the Global South, pada Senin, tanggal 13 Oktober tahun 2025, bertempat di Auditorium Sri Ajna Dewi, Fakultas Teknik dan Perencanaan Universitas Warmadewa. Kegiatan ini menghadirkan pembicara dari dua universitas, yakni Prof. Lidija Eret, Ph.D. dan Prof. Harvo J. Cijanovic dari Faculty of Political Science, University of Zagreb, serta Niputu Dinda Kalpika Putri, SAP, M.Ap, dan Iputu Adi Permana Putra, SAP, M.Ap, dari FISIP Universitas Warmadewa. Seminar ini dimoderatori oleh Anastasia Patricia Novlina Nurak, SIP, MIP, dosen FISIP Universitas Warmadewa. Kegiatan tersebut menjadi ruang akademik bagi para peserta untuk berbagi wawasan dan pandangan mengenai perkembangan media digital serta kecerdasan buatan AI, dalam konteks komunikasi global, khususnya di kawasan Global South. Melalui seminar ini, peserta diharapkan dapat memahami dinamika media digital serta dampaknya terhadap pembentukan opini publik dan praktik propaganda di era modern. Dekan FISIP Universitas Warmadewa yang diwakili oleh Wakil Dekan BARPM, Dra. Lilik Antarini, M.Ed, menyampaikan bahwa kegiatan ini merupakan bentuk kerjasama internasional antara Universitas Warmadewa dan University of Zagreb. Ia menegaskan bahwa kehadiran para profesor dari University of Zagreb menjadi simbol persahabatan dan kolaborasi akademik yang semakin kuat antara kedua institusi. Dalam sambutannya, ia juga menjelaskan bahwa kegiatan ini merupakan bagian dari program mobilitas Erasmus+, yang menjadi wadah bagi universitas-universitas dari berbagai belahan dunia untuk saling belajar, berbagi gagasan, dan memperkuat hubungan akademik antara kawasan Eropa dan Global South. Selain itu, pihak FISIP Universitas Warmadewa menilai bahwa tema seminar tersebut sangat relevan dengan perkembangan zaman, mengingat media digital dan kecerdasan buatan kini berperan besar dalam membentuk cara masyarakat mengakses informasi dan membangun opini publik. Perubahan ini dinilai membawa tantangan baru berupa maraknya propaganda dan disinformasi yang dapat memengaruhi berbagai aspek kehidupan, termasuk pendidikan, politik, dan demokrasi. Melalui kegiatan ini, para peserta diajak untuk memahami pentingnya peningkatan literasi digital dan kemampuan berpikir kritis dalam menghadapi derasnya arus informasi. FISIP Universitas Warmadewa menekankan perlunya menjaga integritas informasi publik serta mengaitkan wacana global dengan konteks lokal, khususnya di Indonesia. Pihak fakultas berharap seminar ini tidak hanya memberikan wawasan baru, tetapi juga membuka peluang kerjasama yang lebih luas antara Universitas Warmadewa dan University of Zagreb, baik dalam bentuk penelitian bersama, pertukaran mahasiswa, maupun pengembangan program akademik di masa mendatang. Humas Unwar, melaporkan.
Community that adopt innovative technological and social solutions. It's often involving digitalizations and participatory approaches to improve the quality of life, governance, and economic opportunities for its residents. In Bali province, a similar initiative known as Bali Smart Island has been introduced. This initiative represents the provincial government's first step towards integrating technology across the islands. The Bali Smart Island programs aims to promote equal access to information by providing free internet access, particularly Wi-Fi, in various public facilities throughout Bali. Furthermore, the province is expanding this vision by implementing the Smart Village concept at the community level. One of the best examples of smart village implementation is Bali Tegal Harum. Bali is Tegal Harum village, located in Denpasar city in 2019. The implementation of public services in Tegal Harum village was still conventional. However, in 2020, the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic encouraged the village to take bold steps towards digitalization. From 2021 to 2023, the development of smart village concept was actively carried out in Tegal Harum village. Next, please. Okay, this is the innovations. So Tegal Harum village, when they implement the smart village concept, they have several innovations such as infrastructures, government service, and economy. Next. The first is infrastructures. Next. Tegal Harum village collaborates with internet providers to provide internet access in public places like the village office, the village library, and several points throughout the village. The second is government services. So Tegal Harum village have several innovation in government services. The first is integrated services system. As you can see at slides, this is the documentation of integrated services system. Tegal Harum village encouraged the use in information technology to improve the quality of public administration, enabling integrated data. The benefit of this system is to improve the quality of public administrations, to speed up administrative services, integrating the data, valid and accountable data, and accurate output. Next, the second is digital library. So Tegal Harum village have an innovative digital library. Is a digital library service based on website and Android. The purpose is to attract citizens interested in reading and expected to provide complete access to information and knowledge. Library of Tegal Harum village has more than 1,400 book titles, with the largest category being novels, which still requires more informative library materials. So the benefit of this application is to make it easier for employees to manage the process of borrowing and returning the books using a computerized applications, namely a desktop-based library applications, to make it easier for users to search library materials quickly and accurately, and people can access reading books via ebooks anytime and anywhere for free. Next, Tegal Harum village also have budget preparation applications to facilitate the preparations of the cost budget plan, because they are already city and village price standards. Minimize errors in inputting product prices, because this application is integrated with each other and creating accountability and transparency. So for the economy, Tegal Harum village has innovations like develop the potential of special village product by promoting small, micro, medium enterprise (MSMEs) product in various activities in Tegal Harum. And this is the photo of the product in Tegal Harum village. They have decoupage handicraft, and then endek batik or kebaya, and herbal black garlic. Next, for the increase the competitive and selling power of MSME, Tegal Harum village also make training on digital marketing and bringing in qualified speakers in the e-commerce field. Next, they also have other innovations like in community and sustainable environment. Next, for the sustainable environment, they using social media to provide information related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and they successfully suppressed the rate of cases so that it was named second place in the 2021 in Denpasar city. Next, they also have waste bank, establishing a waste bank and waste infrastructure for reduce, reuse, and recycle, collaborating with other stakeholders, namely Sinar Bumi Menghijau, in an effort to overcome the waste problem and save the earth from environmental pollutions. Next, and they also have a food security, so inviting people to plant several crops for food needs such as corn and vegetables. So in the distribution of plant seeds from the Denpasar City Fisheries and Food Security Service at the Tegal Harum Village Sub-District Office. This is the photo of the first harvest from hydroponic. So next slide please. For the community, they also have several innovations. The first is child-friendly village, create a concave environment for children optimal growth and develop life respect, guarantee and fulfill children's rights, protected children from the violence, exploitation, harassment, and discriminations, and hearing the child opinion through socializations to mothers about various issues surrounding children. Next, the second is educational and literacy recreation program. The Tegal Harum Village government collaborates with elementary school in Tegal Harum Village to invite students to visit the village library. In addition to viewing the books collection in the library, students are invited to tell stories, sing and dance together, and play stories via electronic media. Next, they also have elderly schools to improve the quality of life. The elderly collaboration with several stakeholders, National Population and Family Planning Agency program, and Foundation of Indonesia Ramah Lansia and Academics. Next, so for that innovations in Tegal Harum Village, the study conclusion is the smart village in Tegal Harum Village is successful case in some great extent, but cannot become the reflection for general condition on smart village in Bali. The second, this successfulness is related to the condition of Denpasar city that already well developed. And the third is the geographical issues in Denpasar city not as complex as other regency in Bali. Next. So this, next please. Next. So this is the reflections, discussions, the concept regarding smart village really on smart city indicators like smart government, smart environment, smart mobility, smart economy, smart living, and smart people. New questions are imagined in order to implement the 6 pillars with issues closely related to insularity. Smart villages are the babysitters of smart cities, and that their prime aims must to be cut up and close the digital divide between urban and rural areas. However, smart cities were originally conceived primarily in technology terms like big data, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things. However, rural communities don't usually have the skill of or knowledge base to become front runners in these fields. So being smart in rural areas start with people life and then use technology with and for them to develop the practical solutions. So this is the objective, digitizing government services over improving quality of life, and then the mindset still seeing digital innovations as a mean to get an award rather than to solve the problem. And the Tegal Harum Village still top-down development approach. So development on smart villages or digitalization process is more likely to really on the government initiative, which come from the national level. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So, the concept that can be applied to digitalization in rural areas is a hybrid approach. First, community development should adopt a bottom-up approach where all service innovations are tailored to the specific needs of the community. Second, community readiness is essential. When implementing technology-based public service innovations, ensuring that the community is prepared and capable of adopting these technologies is the most important factor. Third, a collaborative approach is crucial. Building collaborations among the government, the private sector, and the community help maximize available resources and ensures the sustainable of digital initiative. The hybrid model emphasizes the integration of top-down government initiative with bottom-up community participations, ensuring that digital transformations align with the local needs and readiness. So that's all my material today. Thank you and
thank you, Miss Linda, for sharing the successful story about Tegal Harum Village. So Tegal Harum Village is one of the smart village case that very successful and get the second place in terms of COVID-19 resilience. And for Bali digital experience, Miss Linda already said that the Bali Smart Village with the term with digital transformation with some bottom-up develop approach with community participation, and also on the successful story about the Smart Village in Denpasar. It's not the reflection of the all village in Bali actually. It's only one or two village that maybe have the full Wi-Fi or have the full digital library. No, it's maybe it's only one, two. We cannot say it's as the full village already transformed to smart village in Bali. Dan teman-teman mahasiswa semua, tadi Bu Dinda telah menyampaikan tentang cerita sukses dari kasus desa Tegal Harum yang berhasil bertransformasi ke smart village ya, jadi berhasil bertransformasi ke desa digital ya. Jadi ada banyak sekali yang berhasil didigitalisasi begitu ya. Tetapi digitalisasinya ini ya seperti penyusunan RAB, kemudian berbagai program yang mendukung masyarakat, itu menurut temuan Bu Dinda semata-mata hanya terlihat hanya untuk mendapatkan award. Jadi bukan untuk improving the quality atau untuk meningkatkan taraf hidup masyarakatnya begitu ya. Jadi ternyata cerita dari pengalaman desa digital tidak semuanya digital, tetapi taraf hidupnya masih di bawah begitu, karena yang didigitalisasi ya hanya sebatas di pelayanan sektor publiknya saja begitu ya, dan pendekatannya pun masih top down, masih dari pusat ke bawah begitu. Dan sebenarnya temuan dari Bu Dinda menyatakan bahwa pendekatan untuk menyusun desa yang lebih bertransformasi ke digital itu harus melibatkan komunitas di sana, ya. Okay, we now proceed to the Professor Lydia Heret. Okay, the time is.
Good morning, everyone, dear colleagues, dear students. Thank you for welcoming us, and thank you for your warm welcome. We are so glad to be here with you today. So, everyone wants to know, today everybody wants to know something about AI. And wants to have everybody wants to have questions to our answers on digital media today and digital media that we're using today. But unfortunately, as you will see in these 20 minutes, maybe we have more questions that we want to get answers about using digital media, especially artificial intelligence. Okay, next slide, please. That I mentioned before. So societies then must cooperate not only to comprehend but also to adopt. Contemporary pedagogy says that the only thing that we can teach one another or teach children is how to adopt in the future. So I think that you will agree with me that our parents, my parents, could only teach me something that they know. I can teach my child or children or young people that I'm educating only things that I know. But the problem is that I'm not educating you for this particular moment. I'm educating you for, I don't know, year 2035, 2045, and in that time, today I'm a dinosaur, and in that time I will be an elderly dinosaur for sure, right? Okay, so what is the main problem with education and pedagogy? The main problem is to anticipate what will happen in the future. I don't know that. So I could teach you only from my experience, and I could teach you only from my knowledge, but I cannot teach you for something that I don't know what will happen. So in a lot of my classes, I'm quoting pedagogist Hartmut von Hentig that says that today in education and pedagogy is chaos, but that is not the problem. One thing that one should focus, teacher or parent, is how to teach a child or how to teach young people to adopt. How to adopt. So what does it mean? We must have, as your teachers or pedagogists, we must have competencies that are used to adaptation to new situations, and we must teach you that competencies also, because we don't know what will happen in future time. Okay, can we go next? I don't know what your point of view is, but some consider artificial intelligence as something bad, and some consider artificial intelligence as something good. Today's study and today's research show that the reality is something in the middle. So we are provided with artificial intelligence with a large amount of data, as we call it, big data. but the problem is what to do with them. Manfred Spitzer, in his book Digital Dementia, published 2018, shows us the main difference between generations. So the border between generations is the year 1982, and according to Manfred Spitzer, he says that generations that were born before that year are called digital immigrants, and the generations were after that year digital natives. So you are digital natives. You are generations that are digital natives. Even your professors are very young, and they are digital natives also. I am something in between. I'm born right in that year, in 1982. So I'm familiar with category or attributes of digital immigrant and digital native also, because I was someone that was through that time observing how digital media is transforming. No, how media is transforming. How analog media was transforming and becoming more digital media. When everything was analog, we put down, like I said, television, radio, audio cassettes, and so on, and transform that to digital media. Today, we use only digital media, and you were raised in digital media. And when you are searching for an information, you rely on a digital media. But what is the problem? Problem is that you never had to do something that is called search of a primary source. Primary source that is on published on a paper. So you don't have to go on a library, or you don't have to buy a book if you don't want to. Everything is digital, and you can find it in internet or some kind of web base. But my question to you is: do you use ChatGPT?
Of course.
Yes, everybody is nodding. Yeah, you are using ChatGPT. So what?
Of course,
Yeah,
my
but-
student use ChatGPT.
You said it's like, you said it in a way that it's a not good thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
Why? Why a professor said it in a manner that the fact that you're using ChatGPT isn't something that is good? Because they don't really tell at all. So Manfred Spitzer, in that book Digital Media, is according to various scientific research that shows. Can we go to the next slide? Your teacher your professor simplified it and said you don't read it. But if you are reading it, does it cross your mind? Does it cross your mind that information you are getting is not correct or scientifically proved? Yes or no? Okay, so that is a problem. And the research shows that when you searching, I don't know, through Google, and you put some kind of phrase or some kind of keywords, and Google says you have, I don't know, 700,000 results to your query. How many websites do you open from 700,000 on a Google?
Only three.
How many? 50, 30, 20. So that is good if it's scientists. Science says that young people, that digital natives open only first 10 of web pages better result to your query. So that is one of the problems of digital media, for particular artificial intelligence, because you are using or a query through some portal like Google, or you use ChatGPT or some kind of variety of programs or applications that are made through artificial intelligence. Can you go further? Okay, next one.
Digital and media, and also the problem is sometimes all the students using taking benefit of the digital media too much with using ChatGPT and so on, and so you guys very lack of critical thinking. You guys don't read at all, as she already said before, and then so you guys already very have very shortened spend time for reading, for discussing about all the materials, and usually you only read about the first thank you, the first source of your queries. So that's all can I give you all the conclusion about the Prof. Lydia presentation. Jadi dari presentasi Prof. Lydia, beliau menekankan tentang perspektif pendidikan tentang digital media, AI, dan edukasi, begitu ya. Ada banyak sekali perkembangan dari digital media dan AI yang justru sering sekali disalahgunakan, begitu ya. Kebanyakan mungkin menggunakan ChatGPT dan lainnya, begitu, karena kalian punya waktu yang pendek untuk membaca dan menulis, begitu ya. Jadi kalian kurang sekali kemampuan untuk berpikir secara kritis dan kurang sekali kemampuan untuk saling berdiskusi, menyampaikan pendapatnya, begitu, dan butuh pendekatan baru, and this is need a new didactical approach for very open-minded, be creative for studying and learning, also for the teachers and the student. Jadi baik dari dosennya maupun dari mahasiswanya, begitu ya. Ini perlu sekali pendekatan baru, begitu. Jangan sampai nanti hanya memproduksi paper-paper atau tulisan yang sekedar copy paste dari ChatGPT, begitu ya. Okay, we now proceed to the last but not least from Professor Herboy. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm glad that I'm here. There's something that I'm going to say about it where you can see why, and in what way propaganda matters to make this war more important or more global. And in doing that, we have these global divides. Of course, there is like the West versus Russia, and also the global South. The perspective from the global South that is basically different from the both sides, or might be different from the both sides. So the idea of Russian disinformation and propaganda is basically just, in one sentence, is to erode or to attack liberal democracy. And this is the danger, like a kind of a turning point in our contemporary understanding of where we stand in the West right now. So in that sense, propaganda and Russian geopolitical interests are combined. Russian propaganda, because
Political tool, and the main purpose is for attack the liberal democracy. So Russia is fighting with NATO and US, so not with Ukraine. It's all the perception that Russian trying to give to all the global South countries, and also if I may conclude that there's happening information information warfare like propaganda, disinformation, cyber attacks, and AI generate deepfakes, and also Russia is weaponizing informations. So we already hear all the four presenters, and today I will open the floor for discussion, for question and answers. Is there any question? I will open. Please state your name and your institution, your program study. Yes, please. Oh, Prema. Can you mic?
A strategic component.
Political tool, and the main purpose is for attack the liberal democracy. So Russian is fighting with NATO and US, so not with Ukraine. It's all the perception that Russian trying to give to all the global South countries, and also if I may conclude that there's happening information warfare like propaganda, disinformation, cyber attacks, and AI generate deepfakes, and also Russia is weaponizing informations. So we already hear all the four presenters, and today I will open the floor for discussion, for question and answers. Is there any question? I will open. Please state your name and your institution, your program study. Yes, please. Oh, Prema. Can you mic? 30 seconds long. Dan yang kedua itu adalah adanya permasalahan di distribution of information. Jadi solusi yang ditawarkan dari Prof. Lydia, karena background beliau adalah pendidikan ya, pedagogi begitu. Nah, jadi yang pertama dia menanyakan tentang how to educate young generation begitu. Bagaimana caranya untuk mengedukasi generasi muda tentang penyebaran informasi ini, bahwa informasi yang pendek dalam 30 detik itu belum tentu diterima secara akurat ya. Dan yang kedua itu ada caranya bisa melalui workshop ya. Jadi dari workshop ini ada peningkatan untuk akurasi informasi begitu. Jadi dari workshop mungkin di sana bisa ada sosialisasi tentang membedakan media hoax yang tidak hoax, bagaimana misinformasi menyebar begitu ya. Yang jelas beliau menyampaikan bahwa perlu adanya educating and methodical ways. Jadi pendekatannya dalam masalah ini adalah untuk mengedukasi dan dengan cara yang metodis begitu ya, dan kalau bisa langsung menyasar banyak orang, in large number begitu ya. Dan juga jangan hanya fokus ke generasi muda, tetapi juga ke all generations atau ke semua generasi, karena ada case di Lampung yang mengatakan bahwa bahkan neneknya sendiri menonton video-video tentang perkelahian orang-orang di TikTok yang jambak-jambakan dan lain sebagainya gitu. Dia tahu itu, dan padahal video itu bisa jadi fake ya, fake video dan lain sebagainya ya. Okay, I will proceed to the second questions. Is there any? Okay, only for.
Lalu apakah dengan adanya program Smart Village ini dapat mengurangi kesenjangan antara kota dan desa? Ya, sebagaimana kita ketahui memang kesenjangan antara kota dan desa itu sangat terlihat. Bukan hanya sekedar kesenjangan baik dari media sosial, baik dari pemanfaatan digital maupun pemanfaatan media itu sendiri, tapi kesenjangan itu sendiri juga terdapat pada digitalisasi. Terkhusus apakah dari adanya Smart Village ini dapat mengurangi kesenjangan antara desa dan kota? Sekian, terima kasih.
Pasti ada yang selalu tidak setuju dengan pihak lainnya begitu. Selalu ada perbedaan, makanya di sana ada yang namanya politik. Dan kalau dari Prof. Herboy itu sebenarnya propaganda itu justru lebih mudah memenangkan perang melalui propaganda dibandingkan perang secara terbuka begitu. Propaganda is more high sophisticated way, dan melalui propaganda sebenarnya Rusia itu sudah mencoba untuk merubah opini publik begitu, change public opinion dan people shifting. So banyak orang-orang atau komunitas atau di berbagai negara itu sudah mulai berubah pandangan begitu ya. Kenapa berubah pandangan menjadi lebih mendukung Rusia begitu? Karena mereka melihat bahwa dari demokrasi sendiri itu tidak lagi bisa dipercaya begitu, sistem demokrasi. Dan Rusia menawarkan ini karena mereka juga terlihat bisa memberikan tawaran lain seperti menjual energi atau gas itu lebih murah kepada negara-negara yang support Rusia gitu. Dan propaganda ini lebih mengeksploitasi sebenarnya karena bisa menjangkau people atau orang-orang masyarakat di level yang lebih bawah begitu ya. Dan selanjutnya mungkin saya persilakan Ibu Dinda untuk menjawab.
Oke, mungkin saya bisa respon dengan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia untuk Surya ya. Jadi tadi pertanyaannya, apakah Smart Village itu dapat menyelesaikan kesenjangan antara kota dan desa seperti itu ya. Nah, seperti case yang saya bawakan tadi, jadi desa Tegal Harum atau Tegal Harum Village itu merupakan desa yang case-nya cukup unik ya, karena dia itu dibilang desa tetapi lokasinya atau terletaknya itu adalah di kota, di Denpasar City. Nah, apakah kemudian konsep dari Smart Village ini dapat menyelesaikan kesenjangan antara kota dan desa? Jawabannya sebenarnya Smart Village itu berpotensi untuk menyelesaikan masalah kesenjangan antara kota dan desa, tetapi balik lagi ke implementasinya. Nah, sejauh ini kan case yang kita temui khususnya di Indonesia dan di Bali sendiri itu sejauh ini desa itu sudah menuju digitalisasi ya, baik itu misalnya di Kabupaten Badung, Denpasar, Gianyar. Saya rasa semua desa itu telah memiliki website atau aplikasi di desanya. Tetapi ketika kita research ke lapangan, itu banyak kemudian aplikasi-aplikasi yang tidak digunakan secara maksimal seperti itu. Nah, di sini mungkin yang dapat saya tawarkan, jadi permasalahan ini mungkin bisa kita lihat kembali bagaimana implementasinya. Jadi seharusnya itu menggunakan pendekatan bottom up bukan top down seperti itu, Surya. Terima kasih.
Collect three past years ago, so we should know and realizing about all the society in our region haven't understand well about the gender equality. That's the first thing that we should to understand first. So the second one is about the gender issue in Bali. Is it not the big problem for our society? It's because all the society here understand about women have so much role, especially in managing her family, managing her children, managing about his work or her, the work, and also managing about the social activity like culture and any else. So this condition actually make the gender equality hide through the situation that we see. So when we talk about this reality, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that we should know about this situation is we should to build the first about the awareness to more understand about the equality for the gender, especially women, to giving a space, not only space for place and giving the role for women only, but we should to support women to make something by an innovation and also by his opportunity in all the things that they have in their life. The first thing that we should know about that. The second one is we can use this digital platform, because a digital platform or media is one of the element that we can use to campaign and also support the women to make more awareness for all the people around to understand about gender equality. I think it is the recommendation that I can give to support the tourism destination, especially to support the women. The first one is to build the awareness first for all the people, not only women but also men in all the generation. And the second one, we can use this digitalization or media social to support by the campaign and also to giving the advocacy to the government and else. I think that's the response that I can give. Thank you.
Justru harus dimulai dari lingkungannya, dari orang-orang sekitarnya, termasuk laki-laki sendiri begitu ya. Dan ini tidak hanya bisa berjalan dengan partisipasi dari komunitasnya saja begitu, perlu atensi atau perhatian dari seluruh pihak terkait begitu ya. Jadi seluruh stakeholder, seluruh pihak itu perlu, dan pihak-pihak di sini yang dimaksudkan adalah mereka yang punya kemampuan untuk membuat kebijakan, untuk mengimplementasi, untuk mengontrol begitu. Dan pihak-pihak inilah yang harus melibatkan partisipasi para perempuan yang terlibat di dalamnya. Kira-kira seperti itu. Ada lagi, yes, okay, because the time is up, so I will conclude all the discussion today, but I don't think I can conclude all because you guys already sharing your insightful experience, insightful information, and we already hear about the perspective about digital media, AI and propaganda from the gender and equality, from the woman perspective, from the village level perspective, from the international level perspective, from the world that's happening now, and then from the level of teaching and educations. I think this is one of important for academic institution like us, and I thank you all for the very insightful, very meaningful presentation, and also all the sessions. On the behalf of the organizers, I would like to thank all speakers, Pak Permana, Bu Dinda, Prof. Herboy, and Prof. Dia. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank all to the participants, our students, all the lecturers that still join us in these rooms, and all the committee for making this international seminar possible. And for the certificates, I think it will be delivering to your directly to your mail. And with that, we formally close the international seminar, Digital Media, AI and Propagandas, Perspective from the Global South. Thank you for your active participation, and we look forward for future collaboration between Universitas Warmadewa and Faculty of Political Science, University of Zagreb. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful
Jika Anda suka dengan video ini, silahkan di like, subscribe, dan di share ya. Terima kasih.